Hi everyone. Today I'll be walking you through an art therapy exercise step by step where I will be using a mixed media technique to explore the energies of change and movement. This exercise will be good for you if you feel like you are stuck in your life and you don't know how to move forward. Related to this dynamic, I think, is also control versus not being in control. And this is because we may fear going forward because we cannot control the future. And therefore, this exercise will also be good for those who have challenges with things like perfectionism. Now, there's a few ways of working with art therapy. And the first one, which I use quite a bit, is that we use the creative process as a gateway into our subconscious to gain and extract information that is already within us. And another way, which is the way that we're going to be working today, is that we introduce a new energy into our awareness through the creative process. So today, through this art process, we'll be introducing the energies of change and movement. And when this happens in the safe realm of art making, it's easier to explore these energies. And what I'm hoping to do today is to give you kind of the end of a yarn. And from that yarn, you can start pulling this energy into your everyday life more and more. So I hope that this exercise gives you some courage and freedom to make changes and move forward in your life. So before we start, I'm going to show you the materials that we're going to be using today. So you'll need 2 big pieces of paper. I'm using A1 size, which is around 60 times 80 centimeters or 20 times 30 inches. It doesn't have to be super quality paper as long as it takes a little bit of water, and it should be quite big. And then you'll need some water-soluble opaque paints. I'm using gouache, but you could also use acrylic or craft paint or poster paint. And I like this brand because it is non-toxic. We'll be painting a little bit with our fingers as well. So if you don't know if your paint is non-toxic, you could also have some plastic gloves just to make sure. And it's good to have kind of a cheap paint because we'll be using quite a bit of it. I personally know that if I have like fancy paints, then I'm a bit more stingy about them. And here you just want to like use the paints freely without thinking about it. And then you'll need some paper towels for cleaning. It'll be a bit messy. You'll need an old magazine for cutting out. You'll need some masking tape for putting your paper on the table or board, and scissors, glue. You'll need some crayons. I'm using oil pastels, but you could use any crayons you have, wax crayons or soft pastels. Then you'll need some brushes, a cup for your water, a smaller cup, either plastic or paper cup. And then you'll need something to put your paint on. I'm a big fan of sushi, so I like to use these takeaway lids. So that's it, let's start. So first I would like you to take your 2 pieces of paper and place them on top of each other. Then tape them from all the edges onto your table or painting board. And the prompts that I'm gonna be doing today are not exactly subtle. So if you feel triggered by these prompts, I want you to explore those feelings that arise, either as bodily sensations or emotional states. And we don't want to push any emotions away, so I invite you to explore any feelings that arise. So we're going to start with the crayons, and I would like you to pick 2 colors which call you at the moment. And you can just place them on the paper. And before we start drawing, I would just like you to close your eyes and just sit for a minute, breathing and becoming mindful to your body, how it feels. Is there any tightness anywhere in your body? And just breathe a few times deeply. And it's good to have a breath where your out breath is longer than your in breath. And you can pause this video if you would like to take as much time as you need to ground yourself into this moment and to become present in your body. When you feel that you're ready, I want you to take one crayon in each hand, and we're going to draw with our eyes closed. So you can just, keeping your eyes closed, move your crayons along the paper. And you can start finishing soon. And when you feel ready, just open your eyes and see what you drew. Next, you can take your paints out and you can use whatever colors feel good to you at the moment. So then you can start painting in whatever way you like, continuing your drawing into a direction that you feel good. And you can take around 10 minutes or so. We're gonna be working quite fast here. Sometimes when we work fast, it allows us to not think about things so much, so it's more spontaneous. So I would say around 10 minutes is a good time. So once you're done with your painting, I would like you to take out the magazine, and I would like you to pick around 5 or let's say 4 to 6 either images or spots of color that you would like to cut out from the magazine. Then once you've found your pieces in the magazine, I would like you to place them somewhere in your painting. Once you're done gluing all your cutouts onto the painting, please take your plastic or paper cup, and we're gonna mix into this around 3 or 4 tablespoons of paint, and you can mix a color that feels good to you at the moment. Now, once you're done mixing your paint, you should add a little bit of water onto it so that it becomes kind of more fluidy. So as you can see, the paint is now kind of a texture that there's a little drip coming from the paintbrush when I kind of shake it around. So this is where it's gonna get messy. We're gonna be painting with our fingers next. So if you need your gloves, your plastic gloves, you can take those out now. And what we're gonna do with the paint is we're gonna pour it all over the painting. So here we go. And I want you to use your fingers and spread it over the painting so that this paint is covering around 50% of your painting. And you can examine how it feels to do this. How did it feel in your body to throw all this paint on top of the painting that you just made? So once you're done with that, I want you to just wait for that to dry So you can take a little break, have some tea or coffee, and we'll return to this when it's a bit more dry. So once your painting is dried, we're next going to be working with crayons, so you can take those out again. And the idea is to use the crayons to start finding some form and rhythm into painting again. And you can do this freely with any colors that you wish, and you can just pause this video now and take around 5 minutes to work on this. So once you're done with the crayons, the last step of this art process will be that you can use any of the materials that we've been using today, so the crayons, the paints, and the magazine, and you can take this artwork wherever it wants to go, so you can just intuitively work on it. And if you remember, we have 2 pieces of paper on top of each other, so if at any point you feel that there is a place that you would like to change completely, you can just cut out the first layer of paper from that part, and you can draw or paint something new on the paper underneath. So I would say a good amount of time for working on this would be around half an hour, but you can take as long as you need. And after that, we'll be doing a short writing exercise. So lastly, we're going to reflect on this process by writing about it, and I have a set of 7 questions for you, which you can write down and answer, so you can get out a paper and a pencil. So the questions are: what kind of changes did your artwork go through? What kind of feelings arose during this process? What kind of physical sensations were present during the process? Did you find any part of this process challenging? And if so, how did you overcome those challenges? If your artwork had a name, what would it be? If your artwork had a message for you, what would it be? When you look at your art now, what kind of thoughts, feelings, or insights arise? So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this exercise today, and I hope you found it helpful. Thank you.